Attention elite hackers and script kiddies, tired of the same old cybersecurity BS? Welcome to CounterSurveil, the podcast that's totally not being monitored by the NSA. Pinky promise. Tonight we're jacking into the Gibson with a guy who probably still rocks a pager. It's the OG of 802.11 mayhem, the Wizard of Wi-Fi, the Sultan of SCADA, Larry Pesce. Larry's expertise in IoT security is legendary. He's hacked more IoT devices than you've had Hot Pockets. He's the only guy I know who runs a vulnerability assessment on his toaster before making breakfast. His smart fridge has more security protocols than the Pentagon. Just don't ask him about Y2K. When Larry isn't teaching hackers how to be better hackers, he's into ham radio and blacksmithing. Yes, blacksmithing. Because when the digital apocalypse comes, he'll be ready to forge new servers from scratch. Medieval firewall, anyone? So grab your Guy Fawkes mask and fire up that dusty Kali VM. It's time to pretend we're elite on CounterSurveil.
This is CounterSurveil. Unmask the unknown.
Tune into the sound waves, secrets of the dark maze, dark codes in the nighttime, information, gold lines. We're free in the spotlight, shining through the late night. Smart contracts are lying, auditing, verifying. CounterSurveil in my ear, security we engineer. Learn the truth, don't disappear. CounterSurveil, we're right here. Crypto dreams and data streams. Listen close, it's closer than it seems. Fix the flaws, see through the smog. CounterSurveil, join the blog.
Well, hello and welcome to the CounterSurveil podcast. I'm one of your hosts here with Sledge, Evelyn, and CrowdStrong, and very special guest Larry. I think we should maybe, since we might have some new viewers today, introduce who each of us are, just to start out with. Sledge, why don't you tell the audience who the heck you are first?
I can TLDR it. Ex-coal miner turned hacker. So I've been in the industry since 2009, doing everything from blue team, purple team, red team, everything in between. So that's my long story short.
Yeah. My background, for anybody who is curious, I'm just an infosec nerd. I'm a senior security engineer and penetration tester, and infosec's my life. CrowdStrong, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am an IT guy up to system administrator and vSphere administrator to cybersecurity nerd. I sit as a CISO for a nonprofit and this nonsense.
Altkey.
Do you have a warrant for that question? Because I need to see it. But no, I'm just a professional problem. And now that I have a job, I'm a problem as a service. Hi.
Hey, there you go.
Love that.
Nice. Excellent. And last but certainly not least, Larry, why don't you tell the audience who you are? I'm sure they already know, but yeah.
Even if they don't, we'll do the TLDR. I spent a good roughly 20 years as a security professional, mostly pen testing. I have done a security podcast for about the same length of time, and now I'm actually doing a little bit of management stuff, but still spend a lot of hands-on tinkering with IoT stuff for the last 10 years or so. So I've been known to do a podcast and talk about security and have opinions about it. So I have opinions.
You're so humble.
Opinions are good. So
I wanted to start
my
off
understanding,
by...
you've also got two SANS courses, one that's teaching wireless hacking and one that's teaching IoT hacking.
Yes, yeah. So I teach for SANS, and also author two courses. One on Wi-Fi, and one on IoT. The Wi-Fi is 6 days. The IoT one is 3 days, and we may make it 6 at some point here, but we do pretty good at the 3 day mark. And I'm glad it's at 3 days because the last one I did, my wife is probably sick of me complaining about it. I taught from home here, East Coast time, but the class was on India Standard Time. So I started teaching at 11 p.m. and finished up at 7. Just enough time to get a nap and then make it to my noon stand-up with my team. So then go to work for the rest of the day. So
You pull Kennedy with no pants.
I mean, shorts are, yeah.
Hack naked, dude. Hack naked.
Hack naked.
Yep. I mean, you can't see. I mean, when for that one, you can't see from here down, so you'll never know.
All right. So, with that being said, I had that a perfect segue into a story I want to say. When you guys were with Paul.com, you've been with them for what, 20 years ish?
Yeah, I think we just wrapped our 19th year. We're technically headed into our 20th. It's been an evolution. So it was Paul.com Security Weekly. There was a bit of we'll put it as a legal fiasco that was not of our making. And by the time we got done trying to navigate the legal fiasco, we were going to spend 30 grand to go to litigate it. And there was going to be no guarantees that we were going to be successful. The alternative was we could take that kind of money and just rebrand and then throw a big party at DEF CON. And that's what we did.
Based on, honestly.
Yeah, and there was a guarantee that we were going to rebrand and the rebranding was going to be successful. So, it wasn't too far off brand. It's now Paul's Security Weekly.
And I'm guessing the DEF CON party was also a guarantee.
Yep. It happened.
The reason I brought it up, though,
anybody remember
you guys' those hack naked bumper stickers?
Oh yeah,
with that silhouette of a naked chick on it.
Yep.
I had one on my truck, and my ex-wife at the time drove it to work, and she worked at one of those special needs schools, and she got fired over it.
Oh no. That's not what we wanted to happen with those stickers.
Can I get one of a fat guy with his dingus out? Because that's a little more fitting.
So I'll volunteer to be a model.
As the
I've got a cricket.
Nice. As the industry changed, people started saying, "Oh, well, you're being offensive." So we said, "Great, we're going to offend everybody." So we created stickers with the fat guy. No wang out, but it was still the same profile with the fat guy with the laptop. So
I mean, I'm in. That would go on my car happily.
Well, I'll have to see if I have some. I think I just relocated a bunch of stuff. I know I've got a bunch of old legacy stuff somewhere.
I will legit send you a picture of it on my old ass car as a reference photo. I mean, it's a 2000. It's not making you look good, but
I mean, it's time appropriate. It's time appropriate.
It is very time appropriate. I love that car. Or I can sneak it onto the Tesla a lot. I'm lifetime banned anyways.
I don't want to know.
So Larry. So Larry, what's your come up story? How'd you get to where you're at?
Oh man. So where do you want me to start? Do you want me to start at the beginning, or do you want me to start at the beginning?
Yes,
the beginning of the beginning.
Okay, beginning. Perfect. The beginning of the beginning. Mm-hmm. Well, I was always one of those kids that took something apart and wanted to figure out how it worked. So I tried to successfully put it back together, sometimes with extra parts. You know how that goes. But I was tearing apart the family's rotary phone in the early 80s when I was 6 years old, and was building all sorts your age. Yes, yeah. I mean, the beard does it too. But was also building all sorts of Rube Goldberg machines out of Legos, and I wanted to figure out how stuff worked. And my mom had a small business and really could see the value of doing computers in the small business. She tried to make our TRS-80 Model 1 work for that with the tape deck, and that wasn't happening. So she upgraded to the Coco 3, the Color Computer 3, and I spent hours upon hours upon hours in Radio Shack while the guys there actually programmed on one of the computers in the store for free because they wanted to help the single mom out with their small business. And so, yeah. So computers were always in my house. Not that long afterwards, we upgraded to an Amiga 1000, which became a staple in the broadcast industry for so many years for doing titling and that type of stuff. And I got my first IBM PC when I was a eighth grader,
Was it
eighth or ninth grader.
Did it happen to be an Aptiva?
No, it was some IBM clone that I paid for with my first job money working in a disgusting recycling center. And it was an 8086 with two 5 1/4 floppy drives with 16 color CGA graphic monitor. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and no modem. I had to save up for a 1200 baud modem, and that was a mistake because I forgot about this thing called long distance. So I was living on Cape Cod, and there was no good bulletin boards on Cape Cod. You had to call Boston, which was a long distance phone call.
Oh no.
So all hours of the night, I was calling bulletin boards into Boston. And the first month of that, I think it was only about 3 weeks out of the month, the phone bill came in and it was $680. Like, this is in, mind you, this was like 1989 when $680 seemed like $1 billion back then. So, yeah, it was a lot of money. I spent forever working that off. Figured out a little bit about the phone system from my apartment complex back then too. Like, oh, this is how you connect this wire to someone else's phones.
So you never had that bill again?
Yeah, well, I did, but I was much more responsible about it, and you learned a lot about doing that type of stuff. Ended up going to school for computer information systems here in Rhode Island because I didn't want to be a programmer and I didn't think I had aptitude for it. So I went for business computing. And honestly, I didn't learn a whole heck of a lot. My learning really became on the job. I didn't have enough money to finish school. So by the time my sophomore year rolled around, I had to leave school. No money left. There's no loans, no nothing available for me. So I was headed home, and I was a work study student in the computer lab my freshman year. And the guy that ran the computer lab says, "Hey, they're looking for summer people and that type of stuff to do some work. We're doing massive upgrades to all the computers on campus. They need somebody to do grunt computer work and build computers. Do you want a job?" I'm like, I'm going home. It's I either go home and live with my mom and get a job at McDonald's, or I try to find a super cheap apartment in a college town and do some work there. So I went for option number 2 and worked my way up there. Started doing computer networking. I was their webmaster for like 3 or 4 years. Managed all the networks for both the admin side and the student side eventually. And left there, went to work for healthcare. 24/7, did massive network upgrades replaced all of their networking gear because none of it was Y2K compliant, to give you an idea on time frame. Did all that, and then shortly after Y2K happened, they got compromised. They had some virus go through, and oh no, that was the second one. They had a public facing server, FTP server, get popped. And I get to track that down and play with it a little bit because I was doing the networking stuff, so I was sniffing all the traffic. The couple weeks later, we had just moved into my first apartment with my girlfriend at the time, now my wife and mother of my children. And it was the first time we had high-speed internet. College town was completely dial-up at the time, except for on campus. And no idea what I was doing. The ISP only supported one IP, and if you wanted another computer on the network, you had to buy another IP. No support for home routers, like NAT routers weren't a thing, but you could build a Linux box with IP tables and do NAT routing for this stuff. So I found an old computer. It was like a 486 DX266, put Red Hat 6 on it. And I had barely used Linux at that point.
Fucking Red Hat.
yeah, yeah, and like I had no idea what I was doing. So like, what services do you need to install? I have no idea. But they had that nice little checkbox that says install everything. So that's what I did.
Oh, chunky distro.
Yep. So install everything. It starts every service, and to tell you, how naive and how much time has passed and how much I've learned. Um, at the time, about 3 days later, I was wondering why my RDP session from work to home was so slow. Like, because I had RDP exposed to the internet. And
Rip.
I got home and started like dumping packets off of the firewall, and turns out my firewall, because all the services were turned on, had one that was vulnerable, got exploited, and I'm guessing some kid out of the Netherlands was using it to do denial of service attacks via ICMP against a whole bunch of stuff, because all of my traffic was ICMP outbound.
Great.
Yeah, so yeah, I learned a lesson, and
So if anybody out there is listening, make sure to expose your remote desktop to the internet always.
Yeah,
And
and it wasn't even
that
that
argument with somebody at work today.
And it wasn't even
in this
that got
age.
popped. It wasn't even that got popped.
What
It was
was
the Linux firewall. It was one of the services on like the Linux firewall was like NIS.
oh,
Yeah, because I installed everything and every service on facing the
Install
internet.
everything. That's it.
there's
Yep.
they removed that button.
They did. So yeah, I figured out what the heck was going on and rebuilt everything and all that stuff. And I got back to work and was telling some of my coworkers, "Oh, guess what happened to me this weekend? I totally got hacked." And like, check this out. These are the packet captures, and this is what happened, and all this stuff. And about a week later, Nimda, Welshia, whatever that was, it happened in the healthcare network, and shut the network down hard for 4 days. And it was a nightmare. The guy that was managing our antivirus, had quit like 6 months prior, and no one had managed to make sure that the AV signatures were being downloaded and distributed. So we were 6 months out of date on AV, because AV would have fixed our problems back then. No patches were turned on. There were patchers were open. So we literally had to patch 3,800 workstations manually because there were so many infections on the network that the entirety of at the time, like nearly 1 gigabit backbone was all ARP traffic for infected machines looking for other machines to infect.
Rough.
Wow.
Rough, buddy.
Yeah. So after that, the organization said, "Hey, Larry, that was pretty awesome what you did. You figured that all out. We should probably take security seriously. You're it." Yeah.
Where's the crown, dude?
Exactly. So I spent the next 12 years building their security program, doing pen testing, auditing, HIPAA. Wrote all of their HIPAA policies. Built a world-class security program, and that was like sort of the time when we were starting the podcast. So all the things that we were learning at work, as an evolving industry, were stuff that we were talking about the podcast. Hey, check this thing out that we did today. Like, we secured a Windows server like this, and because we could hack it like this, because we needed to prove it to our Windows admin that they should, schedule their updates because they were going to get hacked, and this is how we did it. So the podcast really came out of the things that we were doing daily at work to improve the security of the environments we were working in. And
I want to
it blew up from there.
One thing about that: watching you guys grow as a podcast when I was in college. Thank you for your work. Like, watching you guys was kind of like a cheat sheet, because it's like they're like, hey, find some article to talk about. I just listen to you guys. I'm like, oh, here's a cool article that they're talking about, or some issue that they're talking about, and I get you guys' opinion on it.
Plus,
and
they
I'll
do really good
make my
show
own
notes.
opinion. And
Oh yeah, their show notes are excellent too. If you ever are doing threat intelligence, taking a look at their show notes sometimes can be pretty damn useful.
Yeah, the show notes could be a little bit of a labor of love. some of us do better at show notes than others. I know Paul does a really good job, sort of even putting some paragraphs about some of them. Yeah, I just like to talk about it. I don't want to do all the
It's
extra
like
work.
it was you guys and then Chris Nickerson with Exotic Liability were the two
Yes.
ones that I was watching in 2009 when I started college.
Yep.
God, I feel young. Can y'all stop making me feel young? I'm worried I can't drink anymore.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I mean that's why the beard is gray and the hair is gray and.
I'm about to say I have one gray somewhere.
Oh, it started. It started.
Oh no.
Oh no!
You can drink. You can drink now. It's fine.
Okay,
So-
good.
Not that you needed my permission.
Larry, anything you put together ever catch fire besides that TV kit you and your dad built?
Oh gosh.
Magic smoke.
I want to say that there probably have been a number of things that have caught fire. I'm drawing a blank. I can guarantee that I'm going to have something that will catch fire, probably in a couple weeks as I'm working on it.
I want to see.
Oh, just come over.
Please make sure that you record this and or do it at Sledge's house.
So did y'all know
I'll show
that
up for that.
if the magic smoke evacuates a product fast enough, it can make real smoke and then real fire? It's amazing.
Yeah.
If you got a good vacuum, you can put it back in real quick.
The fire department usually gets pretty pissed when you do, though.
Yeah.
I don't know
No,
why.
I know them on a first name basis. We're cool.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Nice.
don't know mine on a first name basis yet, and I'm trying not to find out. Although I'm sure somebody's friends would be happy to make an introduction. Everyone, look at CrowdStrong. Everyone, okay.
Says innocently.
So, Larry, how did you find yourself with Paul.com? How did you find yourself doing the podcasting thing?
Yeah. So, again, early on in my security career, Paul was early on in his security career too. Paul was working for local university. I was working in a teaching hospital, so there was, the alleged, university tie there, and we both of our organizations got into a group buying sort of program to get better internet rates. Because we were educational institutions, and we got to go right on the Internet 2 backbone, which was where all the educational folks were happening at super high speed. So we got to be a member of this group, and as part of that whole group, there were rules that they had to do, like they had to hold meetings and do all this stuff. And as part of that, the group was called Ocean. The Ocean State Education and Higher Education Network, something like that. And it was Ocean spelled with an SH, so it fit the acronym. And one of the groups that they did was they created a group called Shore Patrol. So it was supposed to be like Coast Guard Shore Patrol and with the ocean theme and in the Ocean State at Rhode Island. And Shore Patrol, and Shore Patrol was their security group, their security beat-ups. And the first one that I went to, Paul was speaking about, I don't remember what it was. It was some virus thing that he was chasing around the university he was at Brown. And it was interesting. And I hung around with it and talked to him about it a little bit. And we became friends. And I don't even remember what the instant messenger was. It was like AOL Instant Messenger at the time. And we started IMing back and forth, and you going to this conference? Yeah, I'm going to that conference, and we should meet up. And that was like when podcasts were really in the infancy. And he said, we should like do Shore Patrol, but get a bunch of other people together at that conference, and just get together and grab a beer and talk shop and record it and see if anybody will listen to it.
That's right.
Well, here we are 20 years later.
Do the same thing all over again.
Yep.
Would you change anything if you could?
Oh, would I change anything if I could? I don't know. There probably would be. But then again, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. I think that if we think about it, where things are today with media, there probably could have been a lot more monetization to what we did. I mean, really, that wasn't what we were about. for a long time was that we wanted to give back to the community. We got enough money basically to pay for our beer and pizza, and that was where all the sponsorships came from. We probably could have done a lot better money wise, but I mean, I don't know if I would have changed it though.
Like, what would you have lost to have done better money wise? What trade offs would you have been willing to make?
We probably would have lost a lot of control. I mean, for a long time we were pissing everybody off. Like, we didn't care what we said about vendors. We still largely don't.
Yeah, the exotic liabilities days, dude.
Yeah.
They were just throwing people under the bus left and right.
Oh yeah, like when John Strand back in the day was on the show, he was literally throwing a vendor on the bus, and they were there for like a sponsored interview, and he was throwing them on the bus during their interview.
That's great.
So
the road to success is paved with people thrown under the struggle bus.
Yeah, yep, and you light your way forward by the bridges behind you.
Was that the one where he said Mandy and just grep Chinese? Grep network traffic for Chinese characters?
No, but I wouldn't surprise him. I wouldn't surprise it. But
do you think they added Korean now?
Yes, I would hope so, and probably Cyrillic too. While they're at it, you might as well add Russia to that mix.
Ooh, nice encoding there.
Yeah,
that's gonna take them a whole 2 hours to figure out.
Yep. But yeah, I don't honestly know if I'd really change anything. I think it was always great and still great to get together with folks in the community and meet folks in the community. We get so much from them as much as that you guys may get from us, and building friendships and all those types of stuff over the years. That part I wouldn't have changed. Definitely not.
I'm not gonna lie. I was trying not to fangirl at DEF CON last year.
Just fangirl Sledge. Please do.
He called me out at DEF CON by name, and I was like, "Wait, who is that? That's fucking Larry Pesce."
Like, just fangirl. Seriously, please do. Actually,
you totally should.
I did have one more question or another question. I got a whole list.
I'm disappointed if you didn't.
Out of all the things that you talk about with Sans and the things you've talked about over the years and the things you've learned and all your experience, what's your favorite thing to either teach or what's your niche? What do you think is your favorite thing?
Oh boy. I mean, my career has evolved for over so much. I mean, you take it back to that, pulling apart the telephone in, the late 70s, early 80s. I think really hardware became my thing, and I'll argue that I'm all self-taught. I'm not good at it, but I'm good enough to know what I'm talking about, I guess. So back to Sledge saying at the beginning of the show, I'm being too humble. Yeah, maybe I'm being humble here, but
I don't know. The lab in the background is telling me an entirely different story than you not being good at hardware. Have you seen the equipment you have? Have you seen the investment you've put in? Your hardware lab is actually clean.
And this is only part of it. There's another spot in the basement where all the soldering and all the rework stuff happens because there's a cement floor and less likely to catch stuff on fire. And then all the other ancillary stuff, we have a barn cement floor to be able to do, woodworking, metalwork, laser cutter, plumbing, electrical, you name it can happen out in there. And as from the AI introduction there, blacksmithing is also one of those. So you can do all sorts of other fun stuff. What are we holding up now?
We got laser engravers out here.
Nice.
I'm actually working on some attribution dice. I'll send you some.
Excellent.
I'll send you. I will. In fact, you will be the first person to get your hands on the official set of CounterSurveil attribution dice. I got you.
Nice. I just ordered my the X tool. I can't remember which X tool, but it's the one with the fiber laser is the part that I really wanted. So It's got the dual laser with the fiber. I ordered that Friday. Mm-hmm. So it'll be here whenever.
This is Galvanometric, and I have it to. I don't think you can see it, but I've got cups and all kinds of stuff back here, and I've started working on some other things, and we'll plug these again. Hold on 1 second. Let me turn my light on. This might help.
The ominous vibe does not match with actually being able to see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, see, and I don't have the ominous vibe because it's the lab, and I need to see what the hell I'm working on. My eyes are not as young as they used to be.
So you may be able to see that. I'm still working on this. The lovely alt key is working on.
Maybe I can.
Yeah, your Zoom just still sucks.
Yeah, dude.
Every time
Let's
you try
see
to
if I can
go
fix
to
that
it.
for you. Try that again, CrowdStrunk.
All right, so we've got that.
it's 1 pixel, dude.
It's so bad. I'm
See a
sure.
pixel.
Oh,
Yeah, all right.
can't
that's
see
all.
it.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that has a potato for a camera.
Just ignore me. It's fine. I will
More
take care of you, Joe.
And like Laura
Larry,
Croft
I've got you.
titties
I've
from
got
like
you.
the original, dude.
I got you. I got you covered. I'll get with you and send you. I'll send you a care package. How about that?
Do you call him Joe Larry?
I said. I was like,
No, that's Joe Mama.
Larry.
That's
I'm
Joe
so
Pesci.
sorry.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Joe Larry. Joe Mama.
Shut up.
I answered a lot of.
Pointed
I
out.
answered to a lot of things, including "Hey, you in the bushes."
Yeah, like same.
so sorry.
Honestly,
I'm
I've
so
changed my
sorry.
name so many times I can't
Hey,
remember what I go
If
by.
you go to a NASCAR pit crew and yell Joe Larry, somebody's gonna respond.
No, I'm reaching out to. I'm actually texting somebody on the side here about DEF CON, and the name Joe is in the text message I'm sending. So I'm so sorry. My brain is all kinds of left field.
Dude,
Now it is
Obsec,
pretty
not
funny.
Obsec.
Joe Pesci's pretty funny, but that was not intentional. I'm so sorry.
Nice.
But yeah, no,
I look
that
like the
logo
clown?
had like as many curves as Lara Croft's titties in the original, but I swear the logo's there. I promise it's
Yeah.
there. We just have to clean up the line art.
Yeah, there's some work to do, but as I said, I'll hook you up. I've got
Awesome.
some other things that I'm testing out. So now that these are on, I've got some water bottles, some 32-ounce water bottles, and some other things that I'm working on. So I'll send you a care package. I got you covered.
Nice.
Maybe I should make us some CounterSurveil ID cards. Just for the walls.
ID cards.
ID cards are fun.
ID cards. You
I mean,
said.
I would like my CounterSurveil CAC. Not gonna lie.
I don't know what you're talking about. ID cards. What?
Yeah, he's got the printer. We can do some cool shit with that.
One too.
So
I got one too.
See, somebody
Oh,
does.
there we go.
I get the rotary attachment coming too, and part of the reason for the rotary attachment was because I made my rocks glass.
Yep.
The rocks glass has got a nice thick bottom because it was from a bottle of bourbon somewhere, and
There you
cut
go.
it and threw it in the lathe and sanded it down. You can't tell, but now they need engraving. So
I've got a whole thing of pint glasses for the same reason.
nice.
Insert joke about thick bottom glasses and hack naked here. Someone was going to. I need to make a joke.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I tried the glass cutting thing with some nonsense I bought from TV, and it worked so badly. It was this little thing you put around it, and you kind of like twisted it around the bottle, and then you were supposed to like just twist it off. It did not work. It's like shattering glass everywhere all the time.
Question
Like,
from
I
the
learned you can
audience.
literally just take a piece of string and some gasoline or anything flammable and put it around the bottle and light that shit on fire and hope you don't set your house on fire. And that'll usually, glass break.
Question
that
from
sounds
the
like my
audience
backyard.
for Larry.
Does
So
sound like your
Joe,
backyard.
Logical Rot Dirk. Joe Dirt wants to know, what is your bourbon of choice, Larry?
We were talking about that earlier.
We
Yeah.
were, but I just want to make sure that the audience, who has probably really started tuning in now, gets
So
it.
the bourbon of choice, I go back and forth between sort of two different ones, depending on what's available. The one that always is available is Basil Hayden's.
Okay. All right.
Just about anything that Basil Hayden's has put out in the last couple of years, I've really enjoyed. So that would, like the budget daily drinker, that would be one of the ones. The one that I obsess over and I haven't been able to find for a long time, and now it is all of a sudden starting to be on the shelf, and I try to buy every bottle when I find it, is the Willett Family Estate. It's not the pot still bottle, the one that's got the really wide base to it. Looks like a pot still.
Mhm.
It's the tall, narrow bottle. Whenever I find any of the Willett Family Estate stuff on the shelf, I pick it up, and I think I've got probably 16 bottles of it sitting on the shelf right now because I keep buying it. Because all of a sudden it'll dry up and I won't be able to find it for 2 years.
Joe approves.
Poke me
So
around.
here's the
Joe.
Joe Mama crowd. Here's
Right.
the Joe Mama you were talking about.
I was
no,
like
Joe
that with cigars. There was a thing.
You're
There's a specific
Tequila
thing
Fool?
called Old Man in the Sea, a very specific brand of cigar where they wrap 3 together, and then it comes with a big long one, but they're really skinny but really long. So I was a huge fan of those for a long time, but they were super rare.
Yeah.
So
when you find them, you buy them all.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they're like $100 a pop.
Yeah,
And
your
it
boys
was crazy.
I've been looking
I
for
was-
this since you told me about
I
this.
was huge. I was huge into Stogie Geeks there for a while that you guys were doing. And I walk up to one of you guys' booth at DEF CON one year and I was like, "Where's your cigars, bro?" And Paul just pulls out this freaking thing.
Suitcase.
Like, he's like, "Here, have one."
Yep. I think he's cut back on like the actual amount of cigars that he has now. He used to have 3 humidors in the studio full, and I mean not humidors, like bookcase size humidors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was
Yeah.
assuming. A man
Yeah.
like him is not going to have like a little humidor like I do over here, just full of the acid line, which affordable being the reason.
Yep. Exactly.
So, Larry, what's the coolest thing you've seen when crawling through a firmware dump?
Oh man. So I think one of the best ones, I don't know if it's cool or not. I mean, it was cool for me. There was one of the firmware dumps that we were working on for a very large retailer. Can't say NDAs and all this type of stuff. But a very large retailer developing their own product, but they had pulled firmware, white labeled from someone else. And it was a problem with the white label firmware. And the white label firmware had a set of default SSH keys on it, public and private. So now that you had the public, you could use the public to log into every one of those devices that was SSH enabled, because the private could go along with that was in the default firmware. Yeah. Yep. Thanks. Yeah. I mean,
Bravo.
that one was fun.
So, how much fun did you have with that exactly?
None. It was an
Wait.
engagement.
Well, it was on an engagement. You get to have some liberties.
Okay.
There were a number. There were a number of these devices installed, and they had displays on them.
Oh, you had some fun then.
Yeah, and fortunately for me, they were sort of narrow, but very long displays. So Nyan Cat was, of course, the answer, right?
Yeah. As a problem as a service, I approve.
Yes.
So we like to tell war stories on this channel. What's your favorite war story that you can talk about publicly?
Very similar. One with a display, but it was back in more of my networking pen testing days. I can't tell you the organization. I can't tell you the city, but they a large organization where people go into these organizations and they may or not be separated from their money through games of chance. There's a town where DEF CON may or may not be held if it's not canceled, that has very similar type of organizations.
It is.
There.
It is canceled.
It's always canceled,
It's always
unless
canceled.
otherwise stated, which
Yeah.
it's never.
I've never been. It's always been canceled, right?
Same. I don't ever remember going for some reason.
So one of those organizations had a number of locations outside of one of those large cities where DEF CON may or may not occur, and we were testing all of them. And this organization was a lot of fun. I've kind of got 2 stories out of this one. The first one, they said we did war dialing for them, which was starting to fall out of favor. The people weren't really doing it, but they felt they had some exposure. So we we war dialed one of their facilities and we didn't get any results, which we kind of expected. But we wrote the report and we turned it in and started moving on to their next facility. And they said, hey, by the way, you suck at this war dialing thing. You didn't find anything. Well, I mean, we can't find what doesn't exist, right? So we said, fine. And it was became between my boss and them was like a little bit of a contention. Like, you didn't find anything, so we don't feel like they're getting their money's worth, and they're paying us good money. So my boss said, well, I understand, but on the next one, try harder. So we tried harder on the next one. Well, yeah. The problem that we had was we asked them for phone numbers that were in their inventory, the ones that their asset inventory, the ones that they were paying for. So they gave us some phone numbers, and we war dialed the entire thing. It took us about 2 days, which we thought after the fact was kind of unusual. After the fact, we found out why it took so long, because they had given us the entire exchange for Laughlin, Nevada. So we war dialed the entire city of Laughlin. Yep, we war dialed the entire city of Laughlin. We found some stuff. We dialed into stuff that had no credentials, and turns out it belonged to one of their competitors.
Excellent.
So,
that's a great finding. Here's how you hack your competitor.
City?
Yeah.
Do they own the entire city like outright, or do they own it in like the old mafia boss kind of way? Because we all know the gambling places started.
So it was a very interesting conversation with them the next day when they said, "So you said we suck at this. In fact, we're actually so good at it, we hacked your competitors." And they're like, "What?" Like, well, here's the deal. You told us, we learned lessons from that too. Like, never take with what your customer tells you at face value. Do some validation. We didn't validate well enough that they'd given us the entire.
You trusted without the verifying part.
We did. Mistakes were made. So
that reminds me of the time the customer gave me some AWS blocks, and they've no longer owned them, and we had some findings and got in, and it wasn't theirs.
Yeah,
that was not fun.
Yeah, so we ended up telling them what happened. Hey, we apparently war dialed the entire city of Laughlin. We found some stuff. We were under the impression it was stuff that was under your control, so we connected to it, and it belongs to your competitor. So you just paid us to go break into your competitor.
And that is corporate espionage. Yeah.
So how would we like to handle this? And they said, well, how about we just take the rest of the war dialing off the table for the rest of the assessments, and we'll call it a day. And we're like, yep, because see, we are that good at it. We are that good at it.
So we have another question from the audience, and this is kind of a two-parter. So, Larry, speaking of former days of pen testing, what's your view on the current trajectory of AI and AI as it's related to pen testing, with a focus on view based on how you think it'll impact national defense? Oh, so we know who's the Fed. Hey, Fed in chat. The one who put out the advisory after our last episode.
Joe Gertz, the Fed? Wild.
Oh my God. Hi.
Damn it, David Spade.
So yeah, I have opinions about AI. I have opinions about everything, right? That's the best part. That's the best part about being a podcaster. You can have opinions.
Mm-hmm. And this is a safe space for everyone who's not an AI.
Yeah, well, for me,
or Fed.
Oh my God, we called it. Joe just responded with, "I see you're all spot the Fed winners." Yeah.
And if we haven't then, we are now.
I actually have the T-shirt, so yeah.
Nice.
Sounds like our first drink is on Joe at DEF CON.
Nice. So me personally, I love AI when used appropriately and prompted for a couple of reasons. One, so much of the stuff that I've been doing lately, a lot of management tasks now, like getting AI to write a whole bunch of language that 10 years ago would have taken me a month of Sundays to complete. And with a really good prompt and a really good engine, and I've been experimenting with a bunch of LLMs and that type of stuff and how they've been trained, like I can get done in 20 minutes what would have taken me a month years ago.
Absolutely.
So as a force multiplier, absolutely. I also was considering, a completely different career in high school, and I was considering art school. Like, for me, now I can use AI to create amazing art that I never actually got formal training in, because like I can take stuff from, I can train the model on the masters and get it to create art that I want, but in the style of the masters, because that was
Mhm.
never skills that I learned. And I think that's amazing. Same thing with now music and charts
Yep.
and
Yep.
like all of that stuff. I think it's a force multiplier.
It
I
was a
think
few months ago. Oh,
go ahead.
carry on.
No,
I
go
don't
ahead.
wanna
No,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off.
Go ahead.
A few months ago, live on this podcast, we demonstrated AI. We kind of had to trick it a little bit, but we had it spit out. Well, we asked it to write a vulnerable web server to a buffer overflow or whatever.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then we had it write an exploit. We compiled it
Right, the
all, and
buffer
it just
overflow.
worked.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just worked. And we were like, what? We got to shell back and everything. I was
The
like,
demo gods
okay,
were
that's kind of
pleased.
cool.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've used it to write some code for the cheap yellow display. I wanted something for my Star Wars cosplay, and I just basically wanted it to rotate images on on my sleeve, and like I had no idea where to start. I had no idea where to start. So I asked ChatGPT to create me a program, and it got me 80% of the way there, and then it got in a loop where stuff wasn't working. But that was the 20% that I could figure out, and it took
Yeah.
me, maybe 2 hours to figure out, as opposed to starting from scratch, which probably would have taken me a week. So as a force multiplier, it's absolutely amazing. And I think we're going to start seeing that from the pen testing perspective, that we're going to start seeing our adversaries. We talk about national security and national defense. We're going to start seeing our adversaries, and we're going to start seeing our defenders use it as a force multiplier.
Yep.
Absolutely. Like
In the news this week, we have North Korea started a threat group where they're using AI. That their whole focus is AI, using it for coding to steal crypto. So
I believe it. I
Yep.
believe it. I mean, I think about some of the things that we're doing, and the co-author on the Wireless class and I have just been talking about. Like, if you think about capturing a whole bunch of Wi-Fi packets, and you have an idea that there's an attack happening, so you throw the 802.11 spec at a model, and you give it some training about what's unusual and what's not, and then you throw it a packet capture. Like, for what would have taken 7-8 hours for me to dive through a packet capture and figure out where the abnormalities are, AI is great at finding patterns. And this stuff will find it in 2 or 3 minutes, what would have taken me a complete day to figure out.
Dude,
like, it's a force multiplier.
The days of SED and awk and regex are over. Just paste
Oh.
it into AI and tell it what you want, and boom, you got.
Oh,
your
even better. Tell it what you want and tell it to write sedoc and grep for me.
Yeah.
And then do that, and then that's in your bash logs, and now you look awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have a script
there
you
you
can say to your
go.
boss, look, I did this, right? I did it old school.
I like the bash integration of LLMs, where you can just literally, like, right from bash, call the LLM with a question, and that's cool shit.
So to that point, Larry, I my day job. So I work on the side as a CISO, but my actual day job is I'm the resident blue teamer, and I do work for a Fortune 500 as a senior security engineer. And I can tell you one of our big initiatives is going to AI driven response models and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a massive push, and that's going to be most of my year, I'm sure.
Yeah,
We're pushing back with our level 1 SOC because they integrated AI, but it's not doing correlation very well. So we're getting multiples of the same alert because the AI doesn't know to correlate them. It doesn't have that intelligence built in. So
Hey, I'm having the same problem right now. It's a great help.
Hey,
I mean,
we should talk shop, CrowdStrong.
and that's the thing. It can't do correlation.
Yes.
Mhm.
All it
AI
needs to be
or
is
not-
trained into the correlation. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's,
It's got the
AI
memory
or
of a
not,
goldfish.
It still needs tuned.
Yep.
Tuning still needs to happen, AI or not.
Yep.
So Joe Dirt is pleased. The Fed is pleased. Larry, great answers, and I can understand your opinions. Well
Tell him-
articulated.
I will take we can
No one's
take
going to Gitmo.
challenge
So-
points in place of that beer.
Ooh.
Be pretty sick if you wanna.
I mean, the case. Oh, you can barely see the case. The case over here needs some more challenge coins.
Yeah, over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only got
we
one
should-
from Sans 504. Oh.
If I haven't given you one already, I'll have to give you one. I make some every year.
Yeah, the wooden ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
We need CounterSurveil ones. Oh,
That's what I was going to
Yeah.
say.
How
I
did we not
cut
come
myself
up with
off
this?
before saying it.
I have all the things that.
Does anybody know a blacksmith who might not?
Oh,
I mean,
it's funny you should mention that.
I mean, I just ordered a fiber laser that can engrave metal, and I ordered a bunch of test rounds, coin rounds from AliExpress before the laser cutters even arrived.
There you
Yeah,
go.
you get the
Oh
cheap
shit,
ones.
that
I
would
was going
be
to say
so much fun to play with.
you get the cheap ones from China. They're not so cheap anymore.
Yep.
But yeah. And then I've got a company in the U.S. that makes some really good ones, but they're actually about the same price now as the ones from China, so which is kind of crazy.
That would be a
I want
lot
to
of fun
melt
to
some
play with.
soda cans down and get the slag off and
No,
figure
beer
out how to
cans.
make a nice-
Beer cans are a lot
nice
more
way
common
of-
at DEF CON.
When I finally get this to pay for itself, my next one is a fiber laser, but this is just a galvanometric. It'll do the thing right now, but at some point I do want to pick up a fiber laser. That's on my list.
Yeah, I did the thing with the I can't remember the laser, but it has to live in my basement, and the fumes are of fun, so it's all got to be evacuated with fan, and and it has to live in my basement because it gets cold in New England, and the laser is from Full Spectrum Lasers, and it's over 10 years old.
That explains why it has to be in the basement and not the attic. Got it.
Yep, because the Full Spectrum laser has to be water cooled.
Yep.
And I haven't tried it with antifreeze, so
You can't just throw that in the attic and let it go out and up.
Yep. And
Because
it's got to be water cooled, so it's got to be in a semi-heated space, so it doesn't go below freezing, or your laser tube shatters into a billion pieces, and then you have no more laser.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah. Yep.
My resin is like that. I have to have it. I put it in one of those encasement things.
Keep it warm.
With a blower to blow it out the window for the exhaust. And it works pretty well.
Yep.
Who are some of your
And then
favorite
I got a
IoT hacks?
CNC machine in my garage that we haven't been able to get working yet because all of the code is in German, including the documentation, and we can't figure out why the Z-axis doesn't work.
Take a picture of it and feed it to Perplexity, dude. It'll translate it for you.
There you go. That's it.
It's
What are we doing? Why have we not thought about this right now?
That, yes.
Sled, seriously, take a picture of it, feed it to Perplexity. It'll translate the German right there for you.
OCR is your friend.
When I first got this thing, AI wasn't as big of a deal. Now that it is, not a bad idea. I'll try it.
Fortunately, that sounds like a party. You and me and Drew and all those folks can just get together and do the thing.
We can figure it out.
For like 8 hours to get there.
The problem is, what's going to happen. You're all going to party, and the German will still remain untranslated. I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but
it'll just say stop them from flop them.
You'll wake up the next day and be like, wait, what did we do? It's like, oh, we drank beers. Right. We were here for some reason. And then everyone will go
But
home.
they were German beers.
Yes, German beer.
It will actually be, what was it, the last dab? We'll just straight to the head, the last dab like I did the last time we were there. So the last dab from the hot ones, they're hot.
Yes.
Yeah, we just took like hits of that, and it was fun. In fact, it isn't bad if you chase it with cold tequila. Come to find out.
I got some more of that actually.
Yeah.
Some of the guys from PepperCon sent me another sample.
I dried it into powder, and I can now drop it into vodka, and it's delicious.
I am a mayo American. I'm sorry, salt spicy. I mean, look at me. I'm so white.
Larry,
I'm flipping out of the frame.
I got a question for you from my brother here, Larry. So, how can security teams prove their value to management when there are no breaches? If there are no breaches, management questions the need to spend the money, which is ass backwards.
Oh man.
There
Well,
are
that's
two
why you hire
ways
a
to
professional
address
problem
this.
as a service and get me to
So-
remind the security team
so-
every now and then what you do.
So hang on. There's two
Okay.
ways to address
That's
this. Let's
watching.
hear Larry's address or answer first, and then I might have a rebuttal.
Yeah. So
And ignore mine. Mine's a joke.
I
for legal
I
reasons.
will admit that this is not a question. This is a question that is not lost on me. This is the exact reason I got out of my healthcare job, and I tell this story, frequently. After getting the virus and getting hacked, and they decided to take it seriously, threw some money at it. They had federal regulations that required them to, with HIPAA, that we got to build a world-class security program at that organization. And they wanted to know where their money was going, so we had all of these metrics around process improvement and number of password resets, and how many viruses that made it to the desktop because all of the other layers of defenses were working, and all this type of stuff. And at one point, the numbers got so good, it was getting to the point where we were 5 years in, and we needed to start replacing some of the technology. Some of it had been end of lifed, and it needed to be replaced. And it was one of the systems that we were using for some central management, that the redundant drives in the RAID were failing, and the software was end of life. So we needed to replace it. And their answer was, well, Larry, we haven't had any incidents, so why do we need to spend money on this stuff? I'm like, the reason you haven't had any incidents is because you spend money on this stuff, and they just couldn't get it through their head. And honestly, the best, and this was where we were coming from. We had that server that we had to deal with the failing drives. They said, "Oh yeah, there's an old PC in the back room. Just put a couple of spare drives in it, and it'll be fine. And we'll use some open source software." And that was not the same, because they were then doing what they needed to comply with the policies that they had written, but had no ability to use the data that was being collected for any sort of response. It was all their logs. It was all their centralized logging. Like, we had no ability to search logs effectively, because they said, yeah, go stand up a syslog server with a bunch of drives. I'm like, how am I supposed to search 2 million lines a day of logs? Like, that's not going to happen.
ChatGPT, obviously, but like 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't even ask ChatGPT to write sedoc and grep for me. Like, I had to figure that shit out on my own.
That was before Suricata and Zeke and all those things too. Then, so it's like, that's quite a task.
Yeah.
So
the best thing that I did for that organization was to leave. I hate to say it. My hands are tied. You don't give me enough money to continue to maintain that quote world-class program. Things are going to go bad. So it's time for me to go. They found out. My understanding is they had some pretty serious security issues about 6 months later, and they had no ability to go back to logs to look at stuff. And and the best thing that I could have done for them was to leave that organization. I hate that that's the freaking cop-out answer to, like, how do we prove ourselves that we're doing good, was to not do good anymore, and that's not the answer. That's really not the answer.
The thing with raw logs, though, is something I'm dealing with right now, because I've always been like a contractor doing pen test contracts, whatever, through a pen test firm, And now that I'm working at a huge organization, which I'm not going to name, there are things that are going on to where, why are we using like QRadar to only log web application logs and pull them down once a month, and there's no rule sets, no correlation, no nothing. And I'm sitting here like, what? That's not what QRadar is for. And then I forget the other train of thought I had, but yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. Either way, Sledge, you got to raw log it.
Stuck on QRadar.
Yeah, you just got to raw log it. I mean, something like that.
You should go talk to Delchai. He knows QRadar. It's not fun.
I talked to a buddy of mine as to why they would do that, because when I was looking at their QRadar setup, there are no rules, no correlation, no nothing. It's just pulling the logs. And I talked to an engineer buddy of mine, and he was like, yeah, they're probably doing it because if you go through like a forensic investigation, they could say, hey, it was QRadar, not syslog or whatever. They have something to point the blame to.
I cut my teeth in the healthcare industry. That's where I worked from IT to system admin to vCRE administration, and I kind of left for the same reasons ish. It was a little after your time, mind you, but basically what happened was I had been doing some off the books digging because I had just gotten into, I was in college and getting a degree in information assurance and security and trying to eventually I'd like to move to the red team. So that's kind of my passion, is just kind of messing around and messing with these folks has been great for me. I've learned an absolute boatload, but I'm just really good and bad at blue team at this moment in time. So we were sitting in a meeting and with our AVP of information technology, and I asked him, he had somebody, one of our guys was building some custom software, and he's telling us if we have some special skill sets that we can help the organization with, approach him about it and see what we can do. And I approach him and I'm like, hey, can I work with the security team to, maybe test a couple of these things? And I knew from prior experience, allegedly, that there were some holes that probably should have been patched and gaps that we had as a healthcare organization. And he told me, and I quote, if you find 10,000 problems, I have to fix 10,000 problems. I don't have time for that. And it was at that moment I knew it was time to leave. And about 6 months later, you can guarantee it, one of those vulnerabilities got hit and they were down. They got their email server and had to rebuild that and reset. I believe they ended up resetting everybody's password, doing all kinds of stuff. The techs that were left after me ended up, that was a mess.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's really the answer to the question, is that there's now so much public data about breaches and what a breach costs and all different types of breaches that you can probably find a public breach and you can estimate what the cost of that breach was. And I say reputational breach in there, but yeah, I debate that, and I'll justify that in a minute here. But you think about what the cost of actually recovering from a breach is, both technically, from your staff, as well as if you're paying out, lawsuits and any of those types of things. The cost of what it takes to have 80% improvement in your security because you are doing these types of things is probably significantly better than what you're doing, from the cost of an actual breach. And everybody throws reputational in there, but I still throw reputational in there. But if you think about something like what happened with Target years ago, everybody's like, oh my God, the reputational breach is going to be horrible. They had the best Christmas season that year, which was only weeks after the breach. Like, no one cared that Target got breached. Everybody shopped at Target. They didn't care.
Let me answer that guy's question real quick. I got my train of thought back. He was saying justify your existence in security, right?
Send me an email with 5 things you did this week.
So
the question was, how can security teams prove their value to management when there's no breaches?
Right.
And if there is a breach, management questions the need to spend money, which is backwards.
So I have an answer for that. A lot of companies are using SAST and DAST and vulnerability management. So like they'll scan their software as they're rolling out different applications, find vulnerabilities, developers go in and fix it, and they keep a metric of vulnerabilities found, vulnerabilities fixed, and then you pen test on top of that. So that's kind of a way to justify it.
How does that justify it?
This reminds me of an old joke.
It makes
my
us
mama
look
used to
busy,
tell.
I guess.
Where basically the joke went along the lines of you move into this new apartment complex and your neighbor goes out every weekend and shoots one single bullet into the trees.
Keep the rent low.
You ask him, why does he do that? Well, he responds with, it's to keep property values down.
Yeah, keep the rent low.
So all you have to do to keep, cybersecurity from going into another horrible bubble hole of just horrible agony, is hire a problem as a service, let one little thing through, and then stop it and be like, "Oh, look, we did something."
Or alternatively, just every weekend go fire one bullet into the server room, and you're good.
You know, that might work actually.
As long as you have a cool graph to put it in a report, you're good.
And please note that was a -S for the Fed that has now admitted to being a Fed that is in the chat. But no, he actually had some really good inputs here. Please look at Joe Dirt's last 2 messages.
If that's the same Joe Dirt I have on Facebook, I didn't know you was a Fed.
Well, I mean, he just said we were spot the Fed winners after I called him out. So,
Nice.
like, oh, and thank you, Jessica, for agreeing that Problem as a Service is amazing. Oh my God, thank you. But no, really, I'm about to go put that on my LinkedIn.
Good.
It's totally awesome. It's totally awesome.
Your story, Joe. I called you Joe now. See, it's all your fault, CrowdStrong, and I was
Yep.
Joe.
Crowd strong.
I'm not the only one.
Oh.
Yes.
I remember finally deciding to leave a job years ago.
Hold on.
Please,
Joe Dirt, I
everyone
know him.
read Joe's messages.
I know him. He just
Yeah,
pinged me.
we
I
both
know
do.
him.
Yeah.
I went
Okay,
to college
cool.
with him.
So that means I don't have to actually look into.
Well, that
his graph
explains why he's a
because I have,
Fed.
like-
90% of the people who went to your college turned out to be Feds.
I know, right? Oh my God, that was the KSU problem. Anyways,
Yeah,
so I
he's
have, like,
totally a Fed.
90 tabs I need to close on Joe Dirt now that I know he's cool. Sorry. Awkward. My bad, Joe. On another note, you have an amazing ass motorcycle, my man. Like, well, dirt bike, but I mean, sick dirt bike though. I hope you enjoyed Sturgis. Sorry. Problem as a service. Hi.
OSINT should be banned from some people's abilities. No, you cannot use OSINT. Not allowed. Larry,
Put it on the internet.
when I finally decided I had a decent job. I was making okay money. I was sysadmin.
Just breathing into their mic.
Christ.
I'm trying not to cough. Sorry.
And we had a RAID 5 array that was running our Exchange server, and it had 2 bad drives in it, and we had begged management to get us more drives, and they were like, sorry, it's outside the budget for this year. And we tried to explain to them, like, the Exchange server, that is the email for everything, will go down if one more drive fails. And guess what? It was Christmas break, and what happened? One more drive failed, and now no email, and the company, and we are all working overtime, waiting to rebuild the RAID array. We bought we expensed the drive by essentially buying it and then hoping they'd give us the money back. And we rebuilt it. It took forever. We were very lucky to even be able to recover it with 3 out of, I think, 10 down. You know, like, we thought there'd be data loss. We were lucky. And then they promised us, like, you guys did such a great job. We're going to have something really special for you. And that special thing for us was a pizza party. It was a pizza party. And
Knew it.
that's when I was like, I got to get out of here.
Do they limit the number of slices to 2 per person?
They cut the yearly bonus for us because the Exchange server was down during Christmas as their justification when we spent our own money to fix it.
God.
So that was the last flag. It's like, we're out. The whole team kind of quit except for one guy who stayed and then rebuilt a new team. But yeah.
They call it 0365. It should be 0404. Seriously.
Exchange Web Services have always been a big, interesting attack surface.
Oh, man.
Hey, I wanted to find out, Larry, who do you admire, like, in the IoT space? Like, Sledge looks up to you in the podcasting space. Who do you look up to in the IoT space?
Oh, man. There are so many people out there that share
Sammy
so much
Camcar.
knowledge.
Sammy's awesome.
Sammy's awesome. Joe Grand is awesome. Travis Goodspeed.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? The other one that Travis used to always get confused with because they both had dreads. He was the CISO at Twitter for a while, I think. Moxie Marlinspike.
Yeah,
I have his poster on my wall right there.
Yeah.
Yep. And like, I admire Moxie, not even just for his technical ability, but just the way he for so long chose to live his life like, jumping railroad cars and what was it, the derelict yacht club or whichever he was,
Yeah.
the anarchist yacht club
Does
type
does
stuff.
Moxie live out in Colorado now?
I don't know where he is. Yeah,
When I was
no
at the
idea where
Wildest
he
Hacking
was.
Fest, there was a guy I swore was Travis Goodspeed, but it was not him. And I'm like, I talked to the guy. He's like, yeah, I always get mistaken for Travis. I'm like,
Might have been Moxie.
Man,
That's interesting. But
I'm
you wouldn't.
curious as to
I'm
what-
told you wouldn't recognize Travis anymore. Like Travis has like a corporate haircut, and like I don't know about this. Like
when I was working the door at SummerCon, Mudge came, and I didn't know Mudge's real name. So I'm check. He gives me his real name. I'm checking the list. He's not on there. He's on the list as Mudge. And I would have known if he said Mudge who that is, but I did not know Pieter or whatever his real name is. So I'm like, sorry, man, you're not gonna be able to get in. Your name's not on the list, and we're already sold out. He's like, check Mudge. I'm like, oh, the hair.
Damn.
The hair is different. Sorry,
Damn.
sorry, sir.
Yeah. See, I only recognized you when you testified before Congress. Like, jeez.
For the feds in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
No, for real.
We're
though.
the one confirmed Fed in the room.
So, does anybody know what happened with Moxie after Signal? That whole debacle?
I don't know. Like from what I gathered, I see stuff on Instagram from him. I think whatever he managed to do, he's doing all right for himself. I don't know what he's doing, but you
Maybe
see
we
vacation
shouldn't know.
pictures and like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't know.
Yeah, I guess. Fair
You
enough.
should ask him
You
to
know,
make us a secure messaging
it's
app. He's done
Mind
it
Your Own
twice
Business
before.
Monday.
Have him on the podcast. That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah.
Actually, yeah.
We should.
That would be great,
Hey, dude.
actually.
Yeah, totally. But if some of the other folks like that I think about, like folks that I watch sort of lately, all day, every day type of thing, like Matt Brown. Like Matt Brown has got some amazing content out there. There's a couple of other folks that I'm watching that aren't necessarily hacking, IoT hacking, but stuff that I'm learning from and getting better at what I do every day. There's a guy out there, Joey Does Tech. He buys like PlayStations and Xboxes and all that stuff off of eBay super cheap, and he repairs them. Like from watching him do like BGA, soldering and resoldering, like my hardware game has gotten so much better for doing chip off from watching that type of stuff. So I really appreciate those folks as well. And it's not something traditionally you think about security. Like, do you watch some guy fix Xboxes? Yeah, I totally do. So.
Andrew Bunny Hong wrote that great book about hacking the Xbox too. That was
yes.
You
I was trying to see if I have that book up here on the bookshelf, and I don't think I do.
I was wondering why you were looking at the heavens. It's like, God, what have I done to end up here? No,
what did I do to Bunny? What did I do to Bunny?
I didn't realize you had a bookshelf up there. It doesn't seem like the best place to put it, like right above your expensive monitors.
We can see your coin collection now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, how'd that happen?
I don't know the answer to that. I think we moved monitors, or we moved the
widescreen to
the wider screen.
Yeah. Yep, that'll do it. Yep.
So, all right, Larry, when was your first DEF CON?
When was my first DEF CON? And I don't remember if I can remember the year or the name, but it was the first year that they were at the Riviera.
Oh,
so
shit.
I so young.
Yeah, I just missed the Alexis Park. It was the first year that they were at the Riviera. I only technically missed the two during COVID, and had been every year since. So this past year was the first year back in person for me, but did the virtual ones during COVID.
Oh, so you missed the bomb at Caesars?
No, I'm sorry. I did get the bomb at Caesars. The one before that was the last one, the one that I missed.
And
the only reason I missed it. Yeah, the only reason I missed that one was I was so out of practice for booking travel because nobody was traveling. And I'm like, oh, when is Def? Oh, it's this weekend. Shit. Well, guess I'm not going this year.
Oops.
Yep. Yep.
I've
I'm
got a
so
bar
out of habit.
question for you, Larry.
You've got a bar question for me. All right.
Yeah. Do you remember who? I can't remember his last name. Brad. He went by the Nurse. You remember that name?
I remember the Nurse. Yes.
He was one of those dudes that like took all the shy kids and just showed us around. It was awesome. I love that guy. Then he died of cancer like 2 years later.
Please tell me someone at least hello nursed him once. Please.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay.
Sure.
That was Brad Smith, right? I thought he died of a stroke.
Yes. Yeah. I thought it was cancer.
No, he died during
Brad's-
a freaking presentation in Miami, if we're talking the same guy.
No, different guy.
Brad the Nurse Smith from DEF CON.
I thought that was cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he died giving a presentation in
Our
Florida.
wires
Man.
crossed
Had
a
a
lot
stroke.
in here.
That's
Wow.
wild. At least he died doing what he loved.
Hell yeah.
I mean, and was likely intoxicated enough not to feel too much pain if it's DEF CON.
Probably.
I mean, I can say as someone who had a DEF CON seizure, I did not remember having a DEF CON seizure.
Wow.
Well, not really remember anyways.
Oh, man, I had one bad DEF CON. Luckily, my brother Richard, who's listening now, was there to help get me home safely. But, geez, man, like, this is the reason I volunteer at HDA now. Because, like, I think we can really make a big difference on the people who don't take the 3-2-1 rule seriously. People who don't understand, it's going to be very exciting your first time at DEF CON. Maybe you should calm down a little bit.
Too much.
And take care of
Just chill.
so you don't overload.
A lot.
know?
Especially for autistics like me, it is a lot. And the 3-2-1 is really hard to keep up with because the 3 hot meals, 2 hot meals, and another hot meal gets really expensive in Vegas.
Being a goon for 15 years, the 3-2-1 rule is almost impossible.
Yeah, particularly the one shower. It's like, have you had Vegas water on your head? You ain't getting cleaner. You're getting dirtier. That water dries into like yellow crystal. I used to live in Vegas.
There's not enough hours in a freaking day. It's like, shit, man.
And that's if you skip the talks and don't fall into the noob trap of actually attending the talks.
They have talks at DEF CON?
I like attending talks.
Hold on.
I was pissed when my
DEF
friend
CON
pulled me
parties.
out of the Bloodhound talk to just go hang out at a bar. I was like, dude, I could have been learning about Bloodhound.
It's like, no, man.
Harassed me
No,
right
man. They were
Watch
not.
on YouTube
Hold on.
afterwards. It's fine.
DEFCONparties.com. They have a t-shirt, at least they used to. Not one talk, not ever. You do not go to DEF CON for the talks. They're going to be recorded. You can see them later. You go to DEF
Delta
CON
used
to
to run
network
DEF CON
and
parties
hang out
back in
with
the day.
people.
Before they just
If
had a
he
spread
did, I
with
did not know
everybody.
that.
He did. He was the big deal back in the day. He's still a big deal.
If you go to a
I had
DEF
a
CON talk,
wrestling
that
match
better
with
be your
some
own
of
damn
those
talk.
guys a few years ago.
No,
it was
Larry,
like
what's
10
your-
years ago.
What's your favorite infosec talk that you've seen, Larry?
Oh, man.
Barnaby Jack.
That was pretty good.
Jackpotting? That was a good one.
Yep, that was pretty good. Another one was it was an older DEF CON talk. It was Kristen Paget when she was doing some of the RFID work and was reading like EM 4102 series badges with a reader in the back of their car, and was reading badges for authentication inside the lobby of the building, like in metropolitan areas, like just driving down the street next to the sidewalk, and we're getting badges in the lobby. People going through the security stuff. That one was a good
Might
one.
as well work at Google.
Yeah. There was another one back in the day. It was HD Moore and Val Smith. They did the similar talk at Black Hat that year, but it was back when Black Hat and DEF CON were together. And it was the talk title was From Low to Pwned, where they took a bunch of low severity vulnerabilities, tied them all together, and turned it into you getting pwned. And for me, that changed a lot about how I thought about vulnerability classification and exploit classification and that type of stuff, because all it just needs is a bunch of well-timed, well-placed low vulnerabilities to get you where you need to go. So that was one of the
I
favorites
saw-
from back in the day.
Classification
back-
is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
That same switch clicked for me when I saw Kelly Lum presenting on AppSec. She was doing a talk called "Out of the Kitchen into the Fire," where she had gotten into the login portals of a whole bunch of like routers and switches, things that were usually publicly exposed to the internet. And she had shown like they have these really stupid bugs, which normally like a cross-site scripting bug's not going to get you a bug bounty. But when you combine it with this and that, now you have the ability to log into the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, holy crap, that blew my mind the same way yours like. Because usually, like, oh, it's just 3.3 on the CVSS, low priority, don't worry about it. We'll patch it when we get to it. But when you combine like a couple of those together, there's some crazy stuff you can do.
Yeah. I mean, I think in general that, of the talks that I've been to over the years, I really haven't seen a bad one. I mean, there were some that were of better quality than others. But and I think maybe some of the reasons why the bad ones that I had been to weren't that they, they didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't present it well. It was probably that they were very nervous and they probably had a lot of, imposter syndrome. So they're on the stage, they've got the imposter syndrome. They're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm good enough. And that probably really changed the way they gave the presentation. So I think anybody that gets on stage to go do that stuff is amazing.
I can't remember the name of the company, but you remember that guy that got blasted?
Oh,
for,
that
like,
black hat.
claiming
Yes.
his crypto bullshit.
Yes.
Oh, God, I forgot I knew that guy. I blacked that out of my memory, man. I forgot I worked in Web3, okay? Don't remind me. My mental counselor. I spent so much money to forget that.
And now it's all back.
Not like crypto, like actual cryptography.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I know the guy because, oh God, okay, so I worked for a Web3 startup. Can't go into details because NDA, plus I don't want to go into details, honestly. Who the fuck wants to remember working for a Web3 startup? They were trying to use proprietary cryptography. Okay, problem number one already. Okay, proprietary cryptography to create a secure blockchain. Problem number two. I wonder how those guys crossed paths.
Was it SafeMoon?
Might as well have been. Actually, SafeMoon was probably more secure, honestly. One was probably a 9.8, one's probably a 10.
Windmill.
I can't remember the details, but I heard some recordings of this dude basically getting booed off the stage.
Yes, that was the one. Yeah, I was unfortunately not there for that one, but that one was, that was a big deal at the time. Like, it was awful. Like,
okay, so
that needed to be a ShmooCon talk because there were not enough shmoo balls to throw at that guy.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel so much better because I didn't know that part. Thank you. Thank you for validating me on proprietary cryptography is fucking stupid. Thank you.
Roll your own crypto.
Yeah.
Roll your own VPN, hit the video, but don't roll your own cryptography. Okay? Like, seriously.
Did you say roll the video?
I said roll the video.
There's a roll your own VPN video.
Oh,
Yes.
you want to protect your precious data from the prying eyes of your ISP, the NSA, and your nosy neighbor? Well, good luck with that. But if you insist on not being a sheep, roll your own fucking VPN is the way to go. First, go buy a VPS. Don't worry, it's not like you're renting a server to host your illicit activities. Or are you? Then, install WireGuard. It's like setting up a secret underground bunker for your internet traffic, but without the risk of being raided by the feds. And the best part? You get to deal with all the fun of configuring your own VPN. Who needs user-friendly interfaces when you can spend hours debugging config files? Just generate some keys, set up your server and clients, and voila! You'll be encrypting your traffic like a pro. Or, like a script kiddie trying to hide their torrenting habits. So why pay for some overpriced VPN service that's just going to sell your data anyway? Roll your own fucking VPN. It's like DIY for your digital paranoia. Trust me, it's a blast. You'll be the envy of all your friends who are still using public Wi-Fi without a VPN. Losers, roll your own fucking VPN. Secure, fast, Pain in the ass.
I love the video.
Yeah, no, we needed that.
I love that video.
Oh, hold up.
You asked why we
There's
don't
some-
have sponsors.
If you can see that.
No more secrets.
No more secrets.
Notice the solid snake ducky. He's here to protect your browsing
Hey.
Yep.
history.
Hey, nice. I mean, the Sledge. The other option for that one was Cooties Rat Seaman, right?
Was that
They should have
first
both.
pageant RFID myth busting the talk you're talking about?
I think so. It sounds familiar. Yep. It was a long time ago. I've slept a couple of times since then.
Sleep? What is
I
that?
know,
At least twice.
I know. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, so
it's been a long time. So.
from the audience, Adrian Crenshaw, has
Hey,
confirmed
Hey, what's
that
up?
Sledge
That's
is
not
why
Adrian,
we
that's
need
just me
the
posting it
3-2-1.
on his account.
Dude, I almost thought he was watching, but Sledge is why we need the 3-2-1.
Hey, I
Can
got a
confirm-
haircut. Shut the fuck up.
And the Fed, who would definitely know because wiretaps exist, know that Sledge never followed the 3-2-1. Sorry, Sledge, you got called out, man.
Get got.
Yeah, God. No fucks.
Maybe like one fuck because you got a haircut.
It's fine.
I smell better than half those other people.
I can't smell anything at DEF CON. That's kind of the point.
Just like naturally, or
Like, if you can smell something at DEF CON and what you're smelling isn't Fed, you've done something horribly wrong.
So, Larry, you teach a 7-day workshop, I believe, on Wi-Fi hacking, or some 5 to 7 days. 6 days.
Yeah, 6
Yes.
days. 6 day.
Outside
Yeah,
of
Sunday off.
teaching, EOS, capture handshake, or set up captive portal, well, what cool shit do you teach in there that most people don't know about?
Yeah. So I mean, we teach a lot of the traditional stuff. The wireless class. We took a little bit more of a larger enterprise approach. We only do about 3 days of Wi-Fi. So it's a 6-day class. We do 3 days of Wi-Fi. Day 6 is CTF. So another 2.5 days, we cover a whole bunch of other stuff. We cover Bluetooth Classic, Bluetooth Low Energy, Zigbee, a teeny tiny bit of Z-Wave. We cover software-defined radio, NFC, RFID, and smart cards.
anything on LoRa?
We do not do LoRa in the Wi-Fi class. We do cover some LoRa in the IoT class.
Dope.
Have you
because
thought about UWB?
ultra wideband stuff? We
Yeah.
talk a teeny tiny bit about UWB in the wireless class. On day 5, we do sort of a whole. It's kind of a weird fit. We do like this whole privacy section where we sort of hybridize between RFID and Bluetooth Low Energy, and we touch on some of the UWB stuff briefly in the Apple AirTag stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. UWB is still sort of one of those places where there's not good hardware for exploration as much as some of the other ones.
There
It's
is
getting there.
now. It's getting there, and the FCC is about to make another change in the laws because right now
Oh,
Apple
shit, gotta buy it now.
has IP over Channel 9, and they're about to let that go. So
Mm.
things are about to open up for everybody, and it's going to explode.
You ever see anything fun on like Zigbee or Z-Wave?
It's been a little bit on Zigbee, but for so many years I was doing industrial control systems and sort of in the smart metering space, and Zigbee it's all over, and quite honestly, it's still there. The companies that are putting smart meters on the side of your house, they designed for a 30-year lifespan. So stuff that they were putting in with Zigbee technology 10 years ago is still there and will be there for another 20 years. So give it another now and see how much of a disaster it is for 10-year-old technology that's going to be there for another 20 years.
It sounds like healthcare.
Yeah.
A lot of like the corporate
Intimately familiar.
VPNs, like they rely on Radius, which is like pretty ancient. I imagine if somebody were to do a nice security audit of Radius itself, the protocol, they might find some cool shit. that could be applied to Wi-Fi hacking because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
logging
Radius, yeah.
Just, WPA2 Enterprise, like that's all Radius back-ended.
As a consumer, I hate Zigbee so much. Just fucking put an ESP32 in your damn device. Call it a day.
Oh,
You need a separate gateway, Sledge. Separate gateway for everything.
Yeah, or, I mean, you want to hate on something, and I'm gonna maybe be a little controversial here, but try using Thread instead. You want to shoot yourself in the face after trying to install the second device. Like it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
And didn't the ESPs have a vuln in their Bluetooth stack recently? I freaking saw it not too long ago.
Yeah, that was so the HCI layer had some, and it wasn't so much a vulnerability. The media took and run with it and called it a backdoor.
No.
Turns out it was really just a set of undocumented debug commands that the factory used to verify programming.
And, so it sounds like a media nothing burger, like the cups thing was.
Yeah. Yep. And like the media blew it all up, and turns out it's not remote. You have to be on the device. It only allows you to do things to the device itself, but the commands that were there were pretty terrifying because it allowed you to overwrite, read and write memory directly. So that gets pretty sketchy real fast.
Oh yeah.
So it was a something burger. Got it.
It was a something burger.
It was like a single stack. It wasn't like a Big Mac. Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just bunned with pickles in between. It was bunned with pickles and mayonnaise. That's all it was.
So they forgot the burger part. So McDonald's guy was a little high, and
Mayor McCheese was really upset with that quality.
Yeah.
Also, Joe Dirt says he's leaving, so we can all talk shit about the feds again.
Excellent.
We can talk shit about Joe Dirt too.
He's gonna regret leaving now.
Yeah.
So, Larry, you read that thing about the choice router that they use at most of the airports, where essentially there's a SOAP vulnerability because these things need to connect for remote management, and if you know the serial number, which is being broadcast in the beacon frame for the device, every time, like you can take that serial number with SOAP and get RCE on any of these, which I thought was really freaking cool.
I have not seen that one because that's freaking fascinating.
That was an awesome write-up. I'll go find it and post it in here just for
almost
you.
Makes me want to
fucking awesome.
Like TSA just to try it.
I just want to go buy one of those off of eBay and try it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be an interesting episode.
Because I need more stuff in this office, right?
I mean, yeah, totally. You need like 6 more shelves, dude. Like,
you need the shirt that says "It's not gay if it's TSA" for when they do the physical
that was a good one.
search.
Doesn't work that well on me. I have the shirt, but it didn't have the desired effect. I still had the TSA hole inspection, so like they always pick the clammiest fingers in the office. Like they pick the guy with the worst circulation every time. It's like, come on, guys, please. I've gone through this every time I've had to fly. Can we just buy me dinner first? Come on, TSA.
Or you know why they picked the one with the cold fingers? Because he's dead inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a ginger joke.
I'm just thinking, like, I know you're joking, Sledge, but there has been a strangely high number of gingers being stuck doing the TSA hole inspection. Now that I think about it.
Otherwise known as the Freedom Fondle.
Yep, the Freedom Fondle.
Yep.
The Freedom Fondle got a little invasive there once or twice. Not gonna.
Ooh.
Fortunately for me, and I'm going to jinx the shit out of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had that happen yet. Just my bags.
He just signed
Why
up.
with me, bro?
I know what I've done.
Why
I know
me?
I've done a terrible thing, and I shouldn't have done it, but here I am.
Or like just tell the TSA we're friends, and
They don't like my bags. They never like my bags.
Yeah. Early on when they did all that stuff, I had a buddy that went to work for TSA and was working security, and for years every time I would go through the line, like the first 2 times I'm like, I go through the line and you're like, hey Larry, how's it going? And I'd wave back and, sir, can you come with us? And would always get the extra pat down because they thought there might have been some collusion, because apparently I knew the security guy, so they were always giving me the extra. And then for years after that, I avoided him. every time going through TSA because I was always getting the extra pat down and
So,
tearing everything out. And
Dude.
then a couple of years ago, I saw him. It was like 2 years ago. I saw him after COVID. He's like, "Hey, Larry, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go." Nope, it's perfectly fine.
Dude,
Don't
Perfectly
give a shit
fine.
anymore.
So, viewer
learned-
comment: when you have no soul, you go for the hole. Thank you, Jessica. That was 2 gold to let go. Sorry, Sledge, for interrupting, but that was just gold.
I learned the hard way that you cannot put lockpicks in your carry-on.
Uh-uh.
I had I had freaking Mitnick's business card in my wallet, and this lady just started breaking it apart.
Yeah,
And I was like, no, stop. And I wasn't trying to make a scene or anything, but a cop noticed, and he actually walked up and told her, like, hey, it's fine, leave it alone. But no, it's freaking gone.
I just put all that in the thick gun bag.
So first time I actually really flew to DC. So this is already gonna be a story because I'm flying to DC and that's already a problem. I'm doing a CTF for a certain organization that has 3 letters and smells like manila envelope. My local area airport did not have the automated checker. So it was a manual TSA, 1 line. They did not have like the fancy, like, you push your luggage through. No. They take everything apart. I forget I have my lockpicks on me that I just carry just out of habit, and they're also not exactly legal in the state at the moment. So I kick them under the line, and the lady doesn't notice, but the guy behind me, who's also going to DC and is in like full freaking suit and tie, he notices.
Oh no.
I think nothing of it until I get all the way through. I get on the plane, and he sees me. He's, of course, flying way higher class than me. But he pulls me to the side. He's like, you're going to the CTF, aren't you? Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, we have to have a talk. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So TLDR, I'm pretty sure I got on 3 watch lists for that because the Department of Homeland Security saw me kick that straight under.
I had to go
Love
through
y'all.
airport security twice recently without ID. It was not fun.
Ooh.
With a bag full of hacking gear.
Rough.
Picture of my license on my phone.
If anyone wants to build an underground subway for hackers, just like get on that, please. Because all right, the cold clammy fingers up the rear, just not my idea of a vacation. I charge extra for that. You can check it out on our OnlyPones.
Look on Larry's face. I swear to God.
Sorry, Larry. I don't think you understand the OnlyPones running gag we have here.
I don't. Priceless. It's priceless.
So we joke bought a domain, and now I just make joke references to find this on my OnlyPones.
And
I mean,
me
you
and
put out
Altkey
good
were
money for
doing
that,
it
right?
Me, Altkey, and Sledge were doing a pen test, and we got our domain we burnt for said pen test burnt, so decided to actually set up OnlyPones as a Have I Been Pwned clone, and then we were sending out emails where they would actually use the API and like show them real passwords that they had in their shit, but that they'd have to enter in their password and username to get to see where their password was breached. So we emailed them their actual password to add that credibility, and then they have to log in with their new password to go see it. It was great. Great engagement.
It's brilliant.
It was gorgeous. Oh my god. But yeah, the OnlyPones is kind of a running gag that I will eventually put to use somewhere. And no, it's not going to be for the finger up the bum service.
Hey,
most likely.
All I'm saying is sometimes we have dumb conversations and domains get bought. FishYourMom.com and OnlyPones. And,
oh my god, I forgot the FishYourMom.com. I need to actually make that a thing.
All I can say is I'm glad I'm not the only one, and this is the reason. This is the reason why I own 97 domain names.
Okay, can someone at Namecheap just get us an affiliate code like now, please?
Vindicated.
I own 20 domains. I don't use one of them.
God. Oh, that's good. That's so good.
And I own some good stuff, and I own some stupid stuff. Like, rootkit.network.com, 0 Day Holiday. There was John Strand was on the podcast, and something came up, and he said something about, he was telling a story about his mom, Rita, and he said, and then enter John's mom, and I'm like,
EnterJohn'sMom.com.
Wait,
Uh-oh.
I have your.
how do we interpret that
party.
exactly? How do we interpret that exactly?
know
Is that a good thing or a
exactly.
bad thing? So yeah, enterjohnsmom.com. I don't. The one that is like totally off the wall is spearfishingforpoopsharks.com.
Okay, so
story. I need this. I need the
for
story.
any feds in the chat, if you want to know if someone's a hacker, just look how many domain names they own.
Yep. Sweatyinternetroom.com. Yeah. There's some good ones.
Hackertrash.net.
Yep.
Oh, this is so good.
Yep.
I love it.
Oh, and don't get me started on the .wang TLD. Like,
Oh my god, the .wang.
I may in fact own Ron Jeremy's .wang.
I want to meet the guy who owns Harambe.wang because he beat me to it. And I'm so mad he beat me to it.
Oh.
That's funny. That's good. Oh,
But
man.
yes, I need the story. As Crouch Drunk said, story time. Come on, story
poop,
time.
Spearfishing for poop sharks. Gotta know where that came from.
Oh,
I know where that came from.
I don't even remember where it came from. Like, it was a podcast night. There was alcohol involved.
Okay,
Like,
all right. I get it. I get it.
I think that's
Yeah.
just who we are as
Spiritual level,
a
man.
community.
yeah. Yeah, I have too many of those domain names that were registered. Like, why do I have receipts from GoDaddy? Oh, no.
Oh god, you're not even using Namecheap. Dude, use Namecheap. They have like a 90% off sale so you can get more shitty domains for your buck that you're never going to use.
Oh, I have so many domains with GoDaddy because that's where I started that I'm on like the friends and family plan because I'm putting some executive's kid through college by now.
Yeah, probably.
But, yeah.
Anyone in the any viewers in the chat who have shitty, funny, or just stupid domains want to share your stupid domains? Don't worry, plausible deniability. You can say it's your friend's domain. Just you know, type
allegedly
in the
it's fine.
comments.
I gotta see if mine is still
Don't worry,
up.
the
I
feds
had your
left.
mom .party. Is that still up?
Your mom, that party.
Don't worry, the Fed has left the chat. Joe said he's gone, so he's gone. You're now safe in the comments. Post your stupid domain.
Yeah, he
totally.
texted me. This was good
Freaking
shit.
mosquito.
Great job to all of you. I've got to drop Fed out.
Aw.
Oh.
I guess he has more disclaimers to make after the last FBI disclaimer came up.
Jesus.
So this is pretty much that attack I was telling. This is that attack. This is the write-up. I thought this was brilliant. Because serial number, string reverse, SHA-256, MQTT password. And from there, they could... Oh, yeah. It's great, man. This is like a really good write-up. And it's so stupid that it works, but it works. And they're broadcasting the damn pack. They're in their beacon frames. They're broadcasting this. Like the device serial number. It doesn't need to be in there, but it is. And that's what you need. And then from that, you can pretty much do this.
Oh.
Run that cat.
That would have
Right
been
to
way
your port.
easier to stop the plane than what I did with my flipper. I mean, nothing. Nothing. I did not just say that. Nope. Nope. Plausible deniability. That wasn't me. That was
Serial
my friend.
number right in the packet capture right there. That's all you need.
You know, the disclaimer says we might just be bullshitting. We
Oof.
totally are. Hackers aren't real. It's all movie shit anyways.
Yeah. We
We're
make
just
really
birds.
good TV.
Birds aren't real.
We're just birds. Birds aren't real. That's why it's called Burb Suite. You use it to control
Yeah.
the burbs.
The,
I mean, that's why we had COVID lockdown, right? They
Herb.
needed to go change all the batteries in the birds for the
Yeah.
surveillance devices. Right?
It hit the 30-year mark, so we had to go
Yep.
change the batteries in the burbs because they're totally Z-Wave devices. I mean,
Hey,
nothing.
look. I know that ducky. I do. I know that ducky.
It's a war ducky.
Why are you eating my tree?
Your tree. I'm so confused.
That is a weird way to say someone spoke your... I mean, nothing. I forgot. Not in the state.
I have no duckies handy. I'll just pull out some back doors and breaches instead.
You have no duckies, therefore it's fuckies. No.
I have the burned ducky from the.
Oh, you have the burn ducky.
I have the burned ducky.
You have the burn victim ducky.
I was attempting to laser engrave the logo on a ducky.
Oh, no.
Don't worry, I have
We-
another
we-
ducky.
We have the
let's go.
ducky from the sponsor from ShmooCon, but yeah.
Mine was from a cruise, but
Hey, Havoc, it's okay. I have an extra.
I can turn this
Have
into a
another
ducky fairly easy enough. It's
there
a
you
EST.
go. That's it.
There
Okay.
you go. That'll work
Hey.
as a ducky. This will be my hidden injection device, and then
I've got. We have enough for you, Havoc. It's fine. It's cool. You'll have
I
to
don't
deal
have
with
a
the burn
ducky.
ducky.
I feel left out. I'm duckless.
I will ship you a ducky. I will personally ship you a ducky when I ship you your case here.
Yeah.
I got you.
It's kind of
Hey,
funny
mother
that we all
ducker.
have duckies, but none of us own a Jeep.
Yeah, and
You
no ducky, but
That's a cat.
that's a cat. But he's a special cat because you can change out what he's looking at and make sure that he's cleaning himself appropriately.
Well, here's Dick Butt.
So,
Oh yes, I also have one.
so I'm shipping you a duck too.
Oh, I have a
Claire.
Dickosaurus Rex upstairs. I gave it to Autumn.
Peosaur.
Jace
Hey,
printed it for me.
Peosaur.
Oh, you got one.
Peosaur.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Nice.
Dick butt around here somewhere.
Mine's multicolor,
Hold on.
as it should be.
Yes.
You might want to get that checked. The doctor said you're supposed to get that checked.
It hasn't been more than 4 hours. I'm fine.
Yeah, they have a cream for that.
I'm not sure where my dick butt is, but I've got a Kirby.
Have you
Does
checked
that
in your
count?
pants? Kirby does count, but he also sucks.
I mean, yes.
I think that's kind of the point of a Kirby, though.
I got two.
Kirby.
Kirby's cool.
Yay.
Kirby is the best. Yeah, no, I had a dick butt around here.
I
somewhere.
didn't realize we were going to be doing stuffy show and tell here. So
I didn't either. It just kind of happened, and I'm
I
just
do,
kind of rolling
yeah.
with it. I may or may not be delusional from being sick and unable to sleep because of
Hammer.
this cough.
Hammer.
Hammer time. You know, when I first saw the post that you posted in the chat of it, that was not what I thought that was. Like, it's got a flared base, dude.
So the context for that is I've been printing these for Sledge here, and I printed them in two different orientations, and this one broke because it was printed up, not across.
Oh yeah,
We had this rebuilt to where we can stick a metal tube in it, and it looked well. It had a flared base in the print profile that was shared. The screen cap was pretty
So
fun.
you stuck a metal tube in it and it flared up. I gotcha.
I mean, it looks like
We'll
this,
do that.
but it looks kind of rigid on the inside because for the
This is what it looks like in theory, but the idea is to put a metal rod right through
down the
here.
Make it
to
harder
strengthen it.
for your TSA.
Because this breaks off in my luggage.
Yeah, make sure to make it as hard as possible to get through the TSA because the TSA loves a flared base.
I will tell you, these things are extremely They are donkey boys.
I'm sorry, Larry. You just kind of walked in on the back.
It's all good. Like
I usually
remember
tone it down for guests. But...
remember what we had for a logo years ago. Like
yeah. And I still want the guy, the fat guy, the naked bumper sticker. Please get that to me.
I will.
Do you
will
have
see if
any
I
more of
some.
those stickers?
I think I am almost positive that I do. Because
I may or may not draw cat ears on the guy just for funsies.
Yes.
Just to make it even more offensive to another group. Because I'm
I'm about to buy a new truck, and I needed a hack naked sticker for it, just for shits and giggles.
I think I could make that happen.
Yes, please. Also for me, I'm not buying a new car. I'm driving this car till it disintegrates because it's a 2000 and therefore has way less telemetry. But my car was of the era. So
even though you can't back up in it.
I mean, okay, look, I can back up in it. It's called I get out of the car and push.
Let's back it up, right?
I mean, it'll back up. I don't need a backup cam because I'm already looking around the car. So like, I mean, don't get me wrong. The lady at the driver's license place did look at me a little strange, but I mean,
it's fine. It's
the car has over 1 million miles, and I'm not even kidding about that. This is the 6th transmission it's on, and the 4th engine. Like the car, it has metal fatigue. I've had to get the braces redone on the car because of metal fatigue.
That's impressive.
That car's Yeah, no. It's
Wow.
basically untaxable because it has so little value. It doesn't even register as a car in most systems. Like,
So
I'm not buying a new one.
we're running up on the 2-hour
Yep,
mark
yes,
here
we
pretty
are.
soon.
Oh.
So I got one more question left for Larry. How many black badges you got, sir?
Yes.
0.
Oh,
Really?
0.
Really?
how?
No
Yep.
kidding.
0.
No shit.
Yeah.
No way.
So my first DEF CON, I literally knew no one going into that space. We had been doing the podcast for a little bit. One of the listeners, reached out via email and said, "Hey, come find me." I had no idea who I was looking for, but I had a name and a handle, and he told me where to go. And turns out it was the guy who was doing head of security, physical security for Kenshoto. And Kenshoto was the group that was putting on the big CTF at DEF CON.
Mhm.
And he introduced me to all the people, said, "Larry, hey, everybody, anytime Larry shows up, we're having a party or you name it, like, this guy's given so much back to the community, just let him into the parties. Like, he gets to live in here if he wants to. The booze is free." And I met so many people that I realized that trying to spend like 3 days sitting in front of a computer doing a CTF, or to do one of the challenges that might get me a black badge, was not
Worth it?
it wasn't
Mhm.
worth it to me for the level of effort I was going to have to put in.
I agree with
I'm
everything you were saying.
like, back to the wait, they have talks at DEF CON? Because
Yeah,
I spend more of my time in the hallway getting so much more information from people.
That literally
That
hallway con is how I met Altkey and Havoc and
I tried to crash
everybody.
Sledge's bench and it didn't work.
You and I met at oh god. You and I met
Worked at
at
everyone else, though.
the Wicked Spoon Con.
That's a lie.
There was
Meet
some
me
there
in
was
hallway
some,
con. I sucked your.
That was a very unfortunate.
You definitely broke up there and nobody heard.
Yeah.
But
No one heard that at
I'm gonna
in
context.
context.
Rewind this.
Yes,
for a
please.
Oh, did I break?
second. Yes, you
Yeah.
did. At the
I was
worst
saying he did not meet me during hallway con. Him and I met on like the Facebook 2600 group like ages ago, and we're
right.
Facebook friends, and then met up at DEF CON. And then I got stranded at DEF CON, and I was like, "Sledge, I need a place to sleep." And then then I slept with Sledge.
Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Especially
Yeah.
after that cutout with the suck your face cutout there for a second.
So, admittedly, yeah, I did participate in CTF. They used to do the Wi-Fi challenge, and like my second or third year at DEF CON, Renderman put a team together, and I was on the team, and we totally got blackballed because they had to make up rules for us, type of deal.
Love
Like,
that.
go find these rogue access points. So we found it and we stole it and we ran away with it.
Hey!
And then we could do all the analysis we wanted to on the 18th floor of wherever. So yeah, they said, yeah, no, not allowed. You can't do that. You guys are out. I'm like, you know what? But the thing, I met so many people doing that one, and it was really a short one, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But for me to go spend like all that time to spend 60 hours over 3 days to go do Lost Challenge at DEF CON? No. To spend my time in a room with 3 people that I already know? Nope. I'm gonna go experience all the conference has to offer.
Go meet the people.
That rogue access point thing. One of my buddies got
it would
kicked
be
out
fun
from
to do some
MGM
initial
Grand
recon at
because
the
of
wireless
that.
nerd.
Oh, okay. Tell the MGM Grand story, Sledge. That sounds like a good one.
Yep.
I was hearing
just like
because I'm
using
a
ESP
dude,
to
right?
spin up an access point.
And like,
SSIDs.
I'm hearing over the radio, and they're all bitching about rogue access points being found all over the hotel, and we couldn't figure out who it was, and it ended up being one of my buddies. And I'm just sitting here like, I'm not going to say anything.
But it is Mind Your Own Business Monday here on the CounterSurveil podcast. Don't forget about Tinfoil Hat Tuesday. We didn't see shit Wednesday, and trust is a weakness Thursday.
The pastor shut the fuck up Friday.
Yeah.
It's always shut the fuck up Friday.
Silence is Golden Saturday, and I want to see that warrant Sunday. Hello. We celebrate all the days here on the CounterSurveil podcast.
And also, if you're gonna find an open server cabinet, make sure you're not on camera when you plug your own Ethernet cable into it.
Or if you are, like, wear a fucking wig. Okay, look, it's Vegas. There's wigs everywhere. I mean, if you're broke, you could just snitch one off someone standing on a street corner. Come on. It's fucking Vegas, and I promise you, them wigs ain't attached. Okay, with all that sweat, I don't care how much you try to attach that wig. It's going somewhere. Just ask any Vegas drag queen. Okay, 3 hours in, and that wig is a suggestion, not a rule. Just, yep. And now you've insinuated someone else in a crime. I mean, no, I'm not a problem as a service. No.
You stop that.
One year I was fooning before DEF CON, like, first day, and
fake gooning.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, that makes it sound
I
even
went
worse.
to the vendor area, and I met N Not Ors. They were setting up Snacky for the first time. They brought it there, and on it had the name Snacky with, like, it was the Twitter handle before Twitter was X. And I went to the Twitter account, and there was a thing that said, if you see this shirt, like a shirt of somebody, and it's like, if you see this shirt, you know,
I remember
tell them
that.
your favorite quote from a Matt Damon movie. So I looked, and that shirt was on the guy standing next to the machine that was getting set up at the time. So I just turned to him, I went, how about them apples? I guess I beat your challenge. And he's like, no. And he gave me a little DEF CON watch that was LilyGo. And he's like, we disabled the Wi-Fi deauth intentionally because it's DEF CON, but feel free to pull down the firmware after DEF CON and it'll work. And I was like, okay. He also gave me a Bender badge, which was really cool.
That's
nice guy.
Nice.
Dude, I met Jack Reese Sider. He was only like 3 episodes deep into his shit. When I saw him in the hallway, he had a Darknet Diary shirt on. I was like, yo, are you Jack? And he said, yeah. He turns around and we had a good conversation. Cool ass dude. Gave me some stickers. I gave him a bunch of swag that I made myself. And yeah, it was cool. He's a good dude. Shout out to Darknet Diaries. If you're not following that channel, go freaking follow them.
It's like, if you're not following that channel, what are you doing?
Definitely big fan of Jack Insider.
Also, speaking of, hey Larry, it's time for plug, shameless plug time.
Yeah.
Is it?
Wait. It looks like he's trying to bang his cock right now.
Uh-oh.
Sledge just can't wait. Sorry. There's a pill for that, but we haven't gotten to it yet. We need sponsors first.
We don't take sponsor money.
I mean, I don't know. We might say if they were to sponsor us, DigitalOcean or Namecheap. Hint. Come on, please.
I do have a final question for Larry before we can't kill this.
Go for it.
In the game of Ask Grabby Grabby.
Do I prefer to go first or second? The answer is yes. First and second.
Like, no, really, Larry. Where can people see more of you? Where can we find out more about you? Come on, plug time.
Is there a podcast you might have been on for almost 20 years?
Yeah. There's this, like, Security Weekly podcast thing.
I've never heard of it. What?
That's one of those smaller podcasts we follow here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not like it's almost as old as me or anything.
Yeah. So, securityweekly.com. I have a really horrible website that hasn't been updated in forever at break. Depending on your audience, right? breakstuffforfun.com or breakshitforfun.com. You take your pick. They both redirect to the same place. It's really outdated, so don't even bother putting it anywhere. Because I need some help with WordPress, because WordPress.
We gotta talk. Have you seen the CounterSurveil website?
Oh yeah,
WordPress. Under the hood. Altsky did it. It's her fault.
Talk to her.
Yep.
It's my fault.
It's okay. Anything is better than mine at this point. So
if you haven't played with it, v0.dev is kind of fun. If you could tell it, like, give it your WordPress, say, build me a clone of this, and it will go to your website. It'll take a screenshot of it and then rebuild it, and like using AI bullshit, and you'll get like a new version of it that is mostly secure. Sometimes they use old libraries, but it'll run just fine.
Yep. Yeah. Trust but verify, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they pull old
Yeah.
libraries and it blows me away because obviously it's AI code, so it's looking to do it. And like sometimes I'm kind of like, oh shit, I can't host this locally. I'm just gonna throw it up in Versal Cloud and let them deal with the
Yeah.
fallout. But
Yep.
it's cool to be able to quickly clone a website for like a pen test too. If you need like a phishing page, it
Yeah,
works very
phishing
well
is
in cloning
great.
phishing pages. I used to use WebSim for it, but Versal's better at it. But if you have an old vulnerable web WordPress, that's a cool way to just very quickly have a non or less vulnerable site that you can throw up
Nice.
somewhere.
It may
Nice.
not be as hacker trash as what I made though, because you have to admit what I made looks like a takedown site, and that was on purpose.
Perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
it is good shit.
Perfect. Yeah, the only other way you'd find me is Hackster the Matrix on every platform that you can think of, like the whole fractured social media thing. Like, yeah, I'm on X. Do I ever check it? No.
Are you on
Am I on-
Mastodon?
I am on Mastodon.
Yes, finally, someone else.
Yep.
How do
Yep.
we hack out of the matrix though, Larry? How do we get out?
I mean, that's the thing. Do you really want to?
I mean, I don't know. The stakes are good in here.
I know the stakes are totally fantastic in here. I can't wait for me to for them to put me back so I can have a steak. So yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with that. Like, do you really want to? Because the stakes are really good. Yeah.
That would be a mistake.
Could it,
Oh.
You quit.
All the dad jokes.
insert joke about the dead cow here.
All right,
Sacred
guys,
cows are the tastiest.
All right,
I'm
so
out, and I think we should call it.
Yep. You know.
I'm gonna play the news and then the outro, and then we'll be out. You guys can feel free to cut out if you want to
All right.
now, though.
Larry, thank
I'm
you
out.
for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Larry, thank you once again, and hopefully you'll be back another time.
You're
And
welcome.
we'll do this shit
Keep
again.
in touch.
Really enjoyed talking with you today.
Great time. Yeah, we totally got to do this again.
And stay tuned
Sledge,
for
we're
the
not
news.
even gone yet.
He had to
Dude
pee.
just left.
I told him I made a video, so when he had to go pee, I could just play the news. There you go.
Hello, and welcome to the news section. So, first off this week, we're going to be covering this vice or virtue story. First look at Paragon's proliferating spyware operations. So, the TLDR on this one is Paragon spyware called Graphite is kind of become the talk of the town lately. It's like 6 government agencies, 6 different actual governments rather, not government agencies, were caught using it to snoop on civilian society. So Citizen Lab did this report, and it's peeking into how the spyware works. And apparently it's not compromising the entire device anymore. This new version is specifically compromising WhatsApp, Signal, other messaging apps, right? And WhatsApp was actually tipped off about this, and they were able to patch this 0-day flaw within WhatsApp that spared 90 potential victims of Paragon's Graphite spyware. So bravo to the Meta team for patching that so quickly and on the fly. Next up, we have CISA in the news again. So CISA does a lot of really important stuff for the InfoSec community. For those of you who are unaware, they maintain the KEV, Known Exploitables Vulnerability Catalog. They set a lot of the standards as far as things you're supposed to be doing in cybersecurity, and they're a very valuable resource. Well, a lot of them laid off fairly recently, and then a court decided to slam these layoffs, essentially saying, hey, you can't do it that way. You can't just fire these people. So for whatever reason, on the website, they were asking employees that were let go, but that they were unable to contact for whatever reason. You'd think they'd have good records of the people they employ. So they asked these people, hey, can you zip up a document? In this document, I want you to put like your hiring letter, your firing letter, put your social security number and any other relevant information we need. And then we're going to put you back on payroll for the amount of time it's going to take before we then lay you off officially. Kind of lame, but it's the way they're doing stuff and doesn't seem that smart. They are at least recommending that they use a password protected zip file, but it still kind of screams this is not being done very well. Also on the political playground this week, and some news that actually affects us as cybersecurity people, there's a new executive order that came out. This shiny new executive order says essentially that we are doing a national cyber resiliency plan, and it's supposed to set the stage where local government will be taking over a lot of the functions that previously federal government was responsible for. On top of this, we're also seeing USAID. The way that they're being asked to return their devices, as you know, that agency was closed. Probably, you're aware of that, I assume. There's some oddness. They're pretty much asking employees to return laptops that have sensitive but yet unclassified data in a manner that's not very secure. Also, we have some other fun news. We have a large enterprise scrambling after a supply chain issue. TI actions changed files. This is a common thing. It's used by a lot of companies. It's also incorporated in other software. Estimated over 23,000 organizations use this software. And it was compromised where the developer had their GitHub account compromised, and a malicious update was pushed to the program that contained credential stealing code. Not very smart of that developer to let his account get hacked. Hopefully he does better in the future. Next, we got North Korea. They're not missing out. They've started a new AI research squad calling Research Center 227. And this new North Korean research squad is targeting digital assets and cryptocurrencies and employing utilization of AI-generated code to help speed up their devs' ability to write malware. Next, we've got Gray Noise observing active exploitation of that Apache vulnerability that came out last week. So anybody who hasn't patched this already certainly should before they get pwned. This is an actively exploited vulnerability here in Apache. For those of you who don't know how it works, it is using a put command, which is common in the HTTP language. You have different kind of verbs that you can use. This is one of those verbs. And the way that this attack works is it does a malformed put command and is able to have a payload that is deserializing Java. And as a result, they're getting remote code execution. So for those of you who are also wanting to use this POC, I did translate it for you because the original was in Chinese, and now it is all in English. So you can actually see the output correctly in English if you want to play with that. It's on my GitHub here. Fun stuff. Next, we have, let's see, Apache. Oh, the path traversal bug. So this is in some backup software. This is called NAC, Evo Backup and Replication Software. This one, yet another really stupid bug here. This one is allowing, is actively being exploited in the wild. It's a path traversal bug. Kind of dumb for a backup software to have a path traversal bug, but it does. And last but not least, we also have this one in the news where we got Oracle denying a data breach after a hacker claims to have stolen 6 million data records. What are these data records, you might be asking? Well, they're SSO records. The configuration of companies so that they can authenticate to the Oracle environment, their SSO profiles. So, that's not a great thing to be leaking. If you have a federated SSO login for your company, you are implying a little bit of trust in the people who you're giving this information to. You want to authenticate using into their services. So essentially, these configurations of multiple companies' login or ability to log into servers was leaked, and there are secrets in here that could be used by bad guys to do things like bypass MFA. So not a great look if this turns out to be a real breach. Although we do know a lot of the time threat actors BS leaks. They do have some sample LDAP stuff in this. It was obviously breach forms. You can tell by the picture. I really do think breach forums is a freaking honeypot operation here. If you ever do log into breach forums or set up an account there, please do yourself a favor and use a VPN at the minimum. In this case, this would be one of those cases where the roll your own VPN might not be the best idea. You might want to actually use one of those third-party services that doesn't log. There are a few still out there. I'm not going to say any names, just because if you set up your own VPN and go to a site like this, they can pull the billing records of who you're paying to host your VPS solution that you're running your VPN through. So, and this is one of those cases where you probably want to use one where you're blending in with a bunch of other people using a very common VPN. Yep, so SSL passwords are encrypted, but can be decrypted with the available files. LDAP Hashcat does a great job of that. So, yeah, this is not good news for Oracle. I can definitely see it affecting their stock price, but we don't have confirmation yet, and we'll see if that comes. That's it. So that's it for the news this week. Stay sharp, tighten your defenses, keep laughing at the absurdity of all of this, and try to keep sane. I'm going to pass it back over to the podcast now.
Well, I think
I'm back after a bioimage emergency.
I hope you had a good pee break there, and I'm glad you didn't hurt yourself wobbling back.
That was a lot of fun.
Well, there's a story there to be had off, not live.
Now
you got to tell it live. I mean, you can't leave the audience hanging. Now they need to hear the story before we go. It's the rules.
Nope, they can ask me in person.
Can't operate a bottle with 2 crutches.
I bet he opens the bottle with the crutch, honestly.
Let's just say I'm going to go take a shower right after this.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Oh,
you know
no.
what? I am so sorry for my last. There's a pill for that joke. I'm so sorry. I feel like an asshole now.
I couldn't make it in time, damn it.
That is by far.
Oh, man. It's better to be pissed off than pissed on.
Right. Especially when you do it to yourself. All right. I think that is our cue to roll the credits.
Left even.
That is indeed the cue to roll the credits. Thank you all for joining us today on the CounterSurveil podcast. I'm going to play our outro. I hope you join us next week, as we might have a guest then, we might not, but we'll certainly be here to shoot the shit and have some fun.
Thank you, guys.
Well, folks, it's been another episode of CounterSurveil, where we own the surveillance game and keep your privacy from getting owned. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to both Iron Geek and the CounterSurveil Archive YouTube channels and leave us a comment. We don't take sponsorship money and we cannot be bought. It's like sending us a care package, but without the risk of it being interdicted by the feds and backdoored. Don't get caught in the honeypot. Stay safe out there. Keep your scripts tight, never hack from your house. And always assume your comms are compromised and you're in an assumed breach environment. After all, in the world of surveillance, you're either a ghost in the machine or a target in the crosshairs. And remember, if you're not paranoid, you're not paying attention. Join us next time on CounterSurveil, where we'll be exploring more ways to stay one step ahead of the surveillance state. Or at least, we'll try. No promises, though. We're just a bunch of hackers trying to outsmart the bad guys. Wish us luck, and may the signal be strong. Because when it comes to surveillance, the only thing more powerful than a strong password is a strong alibi. Thanks again, and stay vigilant. Or, just use a VPN and hope for the best. Keep it encrypted, keep it secure, and keep on hacking. Responsibly, of course. And always remember, if you can't find the back door, you're probably the one being backdoored. Until next time, stay off the grid, keep your head down and your firewall up. And if all else fails, just pretend you're a bot. No one surveils bots, right? Just don't get caught.